Peter is an orphan boy who was raised by an old soldier named Vilna Lutz. In his early age, Peter was trained to be a soldier just like him, but sometimes he wants to taste a life which other children have too. Lutz reminds him that other children have families, but as an orphan he has a rare privilege, and he suggests that Peter devote himself to the soldier's life. Lutz gives him a coin to get a fish and bread as usual before he begins his marching. While at the fish shop, a man rides into Peter, which makes him drop his coin near a nearby fortune teller's tent. He is curious as he never saw this before, and there was a sign saying the most difficult question that could possibly be posed by a human heart or mind would be answered for the price of 1 coin. Peter hesitates to spend it at first, but he has one important question that he really needs an answer to. He enters the tent and is amazed at how amazing this place is. The fortune teller suddenly appears out of nowhere, telling him Vilna Lutz would be angry if he returns without dinner. However, Peter decides to spend a coin for an answer. The fortune teller immediately looks at his palm and says, "She lives." He is shocked, thinking she refers to his long-lost sister who he thought was dead. The fortune teller calms him down and tells him to think of the right question first before he asks for the answer. Peter says his family died in the war when he was 3 years old. After the battle, Vilna Lutz rescued him and raised him to be a soldier. When his father died, his mother gave birth to a newborn baby, which is Peter's sister. But Vilna Lutz told him during the birth that both she and the baby died. Yet Peter remembers he held her in his hand, determined she was still alive, and asks the fortune teller how to find her. She tells him to follow the elephant, and he will eventually find her. Peter thinks this is a joke as there aren't any elephants around here. Because of the fortune teller, Peter and Lutz are going to starve for a night. Peter tells Lutz the fortune teller knew so much about him, which Lutz refuses, and says how could she know about him if he doesn't even know about himself. He tells him how the fortune teller says his sister is still alive and let him follow an elephant. Vilna Lutz tired with Peter as he told him many times that his sister is dead long ago and all he could do was save him. He then lets Peter get a fairy tale book that is kept in the kitchen cabinet, and Peter wonders who Roman de Smet is. Vilna Lutz tells him Roman de Smet is a young soldier who he served with. Roman reads this book at night, which reminds him of home, his mother, and comfort which Vilna had to cure him of all of this. So Vilna stole this book from him, and it worked. Without this book, he turned into the most fearsome soldier in the army. Peter is curious why Lutz is telling him all of this, and Lutz suddenly quotes, "Where there is comfort, there is innocence. Where there is innocence, there can never be a soldier." And Lutz says the fortune teller told Peter a fairy tale, as there are no elephants, just like in that fairy tale book. Peter then starts to march as Vilna commands, which he disturbs a family who are having their dinner. Peter's neighbor named Leo calls him out and says that typically they are spared from marching during the dinner hour, but because Peter spent his dinner money on the fortune teller, he has to do extra time. On the same night, there was a magic show where a magician made a boring performance for his audience. While he was getting booed and jeered, he decided to deliver his final trick and asked Madame Lavon to be a volunteer for the show. He then performed a powerful spell they had never seen before, but accidentally dropped an elephant on Madame Lavon, breaking her leg instantly. While sleeping, Peter dreamt of holding his newborn sister, which made him really happy, but he awoke only to realize it was all just an imagination. The next morning, he rushed to see the fortune teller, but found out it wasn't there. He asked a fish seller what happened to the fortune teller's tent that was there yesterday, and the seller told him there was no tent there. Later, Peter heard a woman talking about an elephant, and he hurried to get information from her. She said they had locked it up along with the magician, which Peter assumed meant that his sister was really alive. He rushed back to his place full of joy and spread the news to all his neighbors. Suddenly, he encountered Leo, who also knew the elephant was coming. As a palace guard, Leo offered to help Peter get to the elephant by speaking to the countess and her advisors. Peter was excited to tell Lutz about this news, but Lutz didn't seem happy about it as he thought the elephant would do no good. Peter argued with him, saying he believed his sister was alive and he would find her no matter what obstacles he faced. The countess was then approached by Leo, who asked her where the elephant was being kept, but they were interrupted by her advisors. They said the elephant was a criminal and was being treated as such. They commanded the magician to disappear, but he was unable to do so. They planned to destroy the elephant, although the countess hadn't made a decision yet and would continue to consider it tomorrow. She took the safety of her own town very seriously, and the elephant might need to be gotten rid of. Leo was shocked to hear this, but he had an idea. He sent the news of the elephant to the king, who liked to be entertained, in order to rescue it. While the king was on his way, Peter saw an opportunity and snuck into the place to see the elephant. Luckily, he encountered Leo, who helped him get into the palace instead. After the king arrived, they showed the elephant to everyone, and they were amazed at how magnificent it was. After a while, the elephant started to behave insanely, which made them think that something was wrong with it. Peter noticed the paint around its eyes was itching and went to dip a towel towel in cold water to wipe the paint. He then pulled a water bucket for the elephant to inhale to clear off the paint itself. Everyone cheered for Peter as he was brave to calm it down. The Countess was grateful for what he had done, and she asked Peter to stay at the palace to tend to the elephant. However, he didn't accept this offer. He needed the elephant to lead him to his long-lost sister, as he believed it was his destiny. He asked the Countess for the elephant. The king accepted Peter's request, but gave him 3 impossible tasks to do for him first. If he passed all 3, the elephant would be his. If he didn't, the king would take the elephant instead. The first task for Peter was to have a saber fight with the toughest soldier at noon the next day. Leo decided to teach Peter his saber skills and techniques, and he got better every minute he trained. Peter then asked to train with a mannequin so that Leo could spend time with his wife Gloria. Leo really liked Peter because he was hardworking and kind, but with no one to love him. Leo wanted his wife to adopt Peter, as they didn't have any children, but she saw it as impossible as they had already tried and failed before. In the middle of the night, Adele, Peter's long-lost sister, was dreaming about an elephant. She goes to Marie, who is her guardian, and tells her about her dream that she felt the elephant came to take her somewhere. Marie says she belongs here where she's safe, but Adele wonders what she is safe from. Marie told her that she went out to see the world, and it was cruel, so she brought Adele to a home of the orphanage far away from everything, and named her Adele after her mother, who's in heaven now with her brother. This means Marie told Adele that Peter was dead as well. However, the elephant also has a dream where it is with its family, and it hears its name spoken. Later, Peter sneaks in to meet the elephant, and take out a map for the elephant to point where his sister is, so he doesn't need to fight the king's toughest soldier tomorrow. But he realizes it doesn't work like that. The elephant has no clue what he was saying and what he wants. As the battle day has come, Peter was shocked to hear that his opponent is De Smet, who Vilna Lutz just told him about. Peter then rushes to his house to get De Smet's fairy tale book, but De Smet won't let him get away easily. Peter got chased down until he gets to the fish shop and exchanges his saber for a big fish. As there is no more way to go, Peter dives into a river, which saves him time from De Smet to get a book. He drops a fish for a bunch of cats to distract Vilna Lutz, which he always watches out for when there is a cat noise, and Peter successfully got the book. Peter goes to confront De Smet and hope for the best. De Smet seems like he doesn't care about what Peter showed him while he goes for the last strike on Peter. He immediately notices his book, which his mother always read a fairy for him every night. De Smet eventually surrenders to Peter as this book means so much to him. The king praises him as he won the first impossible task and ruined his killing machine soldier. For the second impossible task for Peter, the king lets him fly. This seems really impossible for Peter. However, the king doesn't care. Whatever he puts for him, he will need to do it. One of Adele's neighbors provides news of an elephant to her, which she hurries to tell this great news to Marie and asks to go to the city. Marie first hesitates to bring her to the city as it is unsafe, but she changes her mind and grants Adele's wishes. As Peter returns to his place, Vilna Lutz tells him to stop doing this. Beating De Smet, he was lucky, but flying Vilna Lutz believes he will be crushed dead. Peter walks off as he committed will make it happen. However, in fact, he doesn't have any idea how to do that. Gloria then tells him to get inside, and they will talk about that later. Beside this, they get him a stew for his dinner. Peter really enjoys this meal, and the couple is happy to see him having his best time. Marie and Adele arrived at the city at midnight and decided to stay a night at a guest house. While Peter hasn't returned home, Vilna Lutz is looking for him with his scope. At the same time, he and Marie had a flashback to when there was a war. While Vilna Lutz retreated, he heard a newborn baby crying, which he went to rescue, and encountered Marie, who was with Peter and Adele. Marie handed over Adele to Lutz because she can't take 2 of them with her, but as he is a soldier, he didn't know how to take care of a newborn, so he switched for Peter instead and headed to the garrison. As soon as he leaves, the building was exploded, as well as the garrison. Since then, he thought both of them were dead, and they went in another direction. However, Marie and Adele survived. She rushed to the garrison, but it was destroyed, and it was reported that there were no survivors from the garrison, which she thought Lutz and Peter were dead, but didn't realize they were still alive. The day of Peter's second impossible task has come. The king and citizens gather at the square to watch Peter's performance of how he will fly. Marie and Adele also come to see the elephant and watch Peter's performance. Peter goes all the way up to the top of the building, walking slowly to the front roof, but he slips and nearly falls to his death. After all, he overcomes his fear, which leads him to climb back up and eventually make his way to the front roof. He then jumps off, saying he will find her, and open a parachute from his bag, flying around the city as the king wanted. Vilna Lutz, who is watching from the window, is excited for Peter as he makes it possible, with everybody cheering him once again. Afterward, the king announces Peter's last impossible task is to make the Countess laugh, because ever since her brother died in the battle, her smile has faded away. After the event was done, Adele rushed to see the elephant, exclaiming that she was here. She then hears Peter's voice and says she could write him a joke as he's probably not very funny. However, Peter and Adele haven't noticed each other yet. While talking, Marie comes to Adele to take her home as she did not get any information from the elephant. Peter gets a feeling that he knows her but isn't really sure who she is. He doesn't even know how his sister looks like since he left her when she was just a baby. On that night, Vilna Lutz tells Peter the truth about what happened back in the day. Lutz could have saved his sister, but he didn't. He left her with the nurse because he couldn't take them both with him, as at that time he was a soldier. He lied to Peter all this time due to the fact that he didn't want to cause Peter any more pain. Peter wonders if he did see her dead, but Vilna Lutz says he didn't, which makes Peter's face lighten up, and he says anything is possible. He starts to write a script for his joke, choosing the one that he laughs at the most. At the prison, the magician decides to tell Madame Vallon the truth while they were at the show. He didn't mean to hurt her or make an elephant appear. When he stood on that stage facing all of them, their disbelief made his heart break. That night he tried to cast a spell on everyone there, a spell to make them believe in him again. But as he is not a good magician, he can't attempt such a powerful spell, and it brought disaster. Peter tells the elephant not to worry, he has got a great joke and everything is under his control. Once he passes his final task, he will take it back to its family. Peter decides to rest beside the elephant, and while he's falling asleep, he dreams of having fun with the elephant and meeting the elephant's family. But immediately Gloria wakes him up telling him it's time for his third task. Peter starts his joke talking about a farmer and a fisherman who were out in the field together and encountered a hen and a frog. However, his joke doesn't make anyone laugh, not even the Countess. The king decides he has failed the task. Nonetheless, Peter argues with the king, saying he needs to release the elephant, which is not for him, but for the elephant. For all this time, he tried to win the elephant for his family, yet the elephant also has its own family, and they must send it back to its home. The king denies and commands to grab the elephant to his kingdom. Suddenly, the fortune teller appears. She then sprinkles the cat with pepper and puts it in front of the elephant. As everyone returns to normal, the cat shakes the pepper out, and the elephant inhales it all, causing it to spit a disgusting thing at the king. At once, the countess laughs out loud as well as everyone else. The king changes his mind and allows Peter to pass his third task, as he doesn't care what makes her laugh. All he really wants is to see her laughing, and eventually, the elephant belongs to Peter. Everyone gives their opinion on how to bring the elephant back to its family, but none are great ideas. However, Peter goes to meet the magician asking him to make the elephant disappear, but the magician tells him he can't, as they have seen what happens when he attempts that kind of spell. Peter gives him motivation, believing he can perform the necessary magic and make things right. Everybody makes their way to the square with the elephant, and when Adele sees this, she asks Marie once again to follow the elephant one last time, but Marie can't deny her. Vilna Lutz also gets up from his wheelchair and walks off with his crutches so he won't miss this amazing event. Peter says goodbye to his good friend, and the magician starts to cast a spell and perform his magic. Finally, the elephant is sent back to its homeland, and the magician successfully gains control over his magic. The sun starts to shine on everyone's snow falls from the clouds to the ground, and a miracle happens. Marie and Vilna Lutz encounter each other again and are surprised to see each other alive. Peter realizes that the girl is his long-lost sister, and in the end, they reunite as a family. The magician apologizes to Madame Vallon for the harm he caused her. He takes out lilies for Madame and begs for her forgiveness. Everyone in town is now living happily, a whole new family is created, and the elephant is also reunited with its family. This is it for this movie. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and comment. Also subscribe so you don't miss out on my new videos.